Hello, my name is Chris Mattingly, Utilities Director for the City of Norman. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the proposed water rate increase that is before us. The three main items that this rate increase will fund are groundwater treatment, advanced water metering, and pipe replacement. First, as we went to look at establishing rates, you have to strike a balance. And we always start off with the top one, which is revenue stability and resiliency. And that's just making sure you have enough money to fund the projects that you need to keep your O&M up for your water system. And then you look at, okay, how does that affect economic development? What negative impacts might we affect on economic development or affordability at the bottom? How does that affect fixed income folks? And then you look over at the conservation water supply. Are we doing enough right now to encourage people to conserve water? And how are they structured so they do encourage the conservation of the water? So first we'll start with the previous water rate increase. It was in 2015. The voters approved the last rate increase with a percentage of 67%. This vote actually was a package of $5.8 million, and it allowed us to fund $47 million in capital projects and increase our O&M cost $1.8 million. Some of the projects that we funded, you can see on this list. We usually keep a list of what we said we would do, and then we go back to show that we did what we said we would do with the money. So as you can see, water treatment plant phase 2, we were estimating around $31 million, actual cost $36.2 million. The blending, we were able to accomplish without using any additional capital money on that. The new wells are online now. We thought we were estimating at like $9 million, and they came in at about $11 million. Purchasing land for a treatment site for the groundwater. This is underway right now. And so we're going on checking that box because that should be on the next February agenda to purchase that land. And then water line replacements, we were estimating to go do $3 million worth. And we had several other lines that were along Robinson that needed replacement. And so we've actually spent $15.8 million since the 2015 vote. And this is just a picture of, on the left, our water plant before the phase 2 improvements. And then on the right, you can see circled, we added a new chemical building in the back right. We added a new UV disinfection. And then we added a new admin building. And also with this phase 2, we added ozone contactor. So we're now able to address taste and odor that we experience with our lake water. And then pictures from our well field improvements just shows that we focused in the northeast part of Norman. The groundwater in that area tends to be lower in arsenic levels and is really good water. And so we focused our efforts out there and drilled 9 new wells, and we can average a new 2 million gallons per day of average water coming out of the well field with that expansion that we did. And then some of the water lines that we replaced, if you look at the map, it's kind of tough to see, but you can see in the white some of the lines that we completed along Robinson. You can see a 2.1 million, and that's referencing in the pictures on the top right. We were experiencing several line breaks around the airport by Westwood Golf Course right on Robinson. And you could see that when they would rupture, it would damage the street and the sidewalk. And this line is old, metal pipe, needed to be replaced. And so we replaced the 2.1 million. That was one of the first phases that we did. And then the 3.2 millions. And now we're going to continue on. The next phase we're looking at is over the 4.5 is in front of J.D. McCarty and the Veterans Center. And then to the left of that is the 5.3 million that we will be under design soon. we're worried about that line. That kind of goes in front of the soccer fields back to the railroad tracks. Also, you'll notice a $2.0 million around the Main and Gray Street areas. We're happy that finally we have replaced all the metal lines around Gray and Main in our downtown area, because we were experiencing a lot of pipe breaks. And another line that's worth noting is a red one up on Tecumseh. And this one, we've had a recent line break and it's been brought to our attention. This line was installed in the 90s, but it's metal pipe. And we found corrosion that is causing it to fail. And when we went to make our repairs, we realized it's 24 feet deep, very hard to access. So it's one that we're going to move up on our list because it needs to be addressed sooner than later. And it's estimated right now at about $4 million. And then here's some of the pictures of the construction as it was taking place. On the left, that's the 42-inch coming from the water treatment plant to 24th Northeast. And in the middle was when we were going west along Robinson at 36th Northwest and Robinson. And then on the right, that is the line we recently repaired in front of City Hall along Gray Street. So the need for rate adjustment. So we look at our budget books each year, and these are online under our finance. If you want to get on our website, go under finance, budget books, capital projects. That's where you can see back for the last 10 years of our budgets. And as we're going to plan our capital outlay, we look at this and we're realizing it's getting tighter and tighter of how much money we have left after we pay the upfront expenses. We only have so much to go spend on capital projects. And so I've kind of circled and pointed this out from the last budget that's on the website, FYE 20 actual. And if you can see, the total revenues for that year were $23,580,096. So we're bringing about $23.5 million come in from revenues. Our total O&M expenditures that year were 11.7. And then the 5.2 million you see next is all of our loan payments currently. And then usually we have to buy backhoes, track hose, trailers, trucks, and that's your capital equipment. And that we try to keep that around. It's usually around $300,000 a year. And then there's a franchise fee that we pay. That's 5% of our total revenues goes to the general fund for having our water lines and sewer lines in the right of ways. And so as you can see there, for that year, we had $5.2 million left for capital projects, which, as I showed you on that prior map, each project is like $2 to $3 million, $4 million each. So it's getting tougher and tougher to prioritize. Which one do we do next? And I think it's worth mentioning here the O&M, we're seeing an increase. I show here $300,000 per year, but it's actually a little larger because it's going up about 3% per year. And I'll show you on an additional graph here. So on this graph, this shows our actual operating costs since FYE 08 to current. And you can see in the blue line, that's the actual O&M cost that we've seen. And so we just put a trend line on that. And it's very close to 3% each year. So right now, it's about $350,000 actually for this year. That keeps, we'll have $350,000 less each year as we move forward that we'll have to take off capital projects expenditures if it continues at that rate. And this graph shows that it has pretty consistent over the last 12 years. And then one of the things I like to show is that, you know, we are a water plant. We run 365, 24/7. That's 365 days a year, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And we have not expanded our staff. So those O&M costs are not because we're building a larger kingdom, hiring more employees. Actually, we've held the line and we have 43 employees like we did in January of 2010. And we still have that same amount of employees today. And then the graph also shows in the blue that back in 2010, we were serving about 34,000 connections. And today we're serving around 41,000 connections. So we're continue to hold the same amount of employees, but serving more and more people. So those O&M costs are actually chemicals, gas, parts, repairs, not and today's employees, but not that we're hiring additional employees. Before I talk about the rates, I like showing this slide, and what it shows is some of the improvement I think that our system is seeing in conservation efforts. So if you look at the top there, the blue line shows today 73% of our bills that are going out are at 5,000 gallons or less. Back in 2009, we were seeing about 66% were at 5,000 or less. So what we've seen is the blue curve line is the 2009 data to the 2020, the yellow line. That's showing a shift in that people are using less water, which is a good thing. It shows some of your conservation efforts are working. And some of that is from like improved plumbing fixtures and replacing your plumbing. They're able to make fixtures now to run your showers and stuff in a more efficient manner with less water. So this is a good sign that we are seeing some conservation efforts as we move forward. So the need for a rate adjustment. The first big item is a groundwater treatment disinfection. Estimated cost on this is $17 million. And what this does is this will bring us into full compliance with a rule that says, since we use lake water at Lake Thunderbird and we treat that and we disinfect it with chlorine and ammonia, chloramine, then we're supposed to put out a residual out into the system and make sure it never gets below 1 part per million out in the system. Currently, our groundwater coming from the wells is so good quality of water, it comes out of the ground and does not need to be disinfected as it comes out of the ground. But as it's blending with that surface water that we treated from the lake, DEQ is looking at the rule, and it's clear, as they've pointed to us, that really we need, since it's blended, how do we prove that it needs to be 1 part per million throughout the system? And so they don't like that we have areas of town with no chlorine residual, because they don't know if our surface water has lost some of its chlorine residual, or is that truly groundwater that's in that area. So this rule, to be fully compliant, and it would make Norman water even safer. It's a good thing to do, is to add disinfection at a groundwater treatment site. And then that way, all throughout Norman, we would have a chlorine residual that would make our water supply safer. And the land that we're hopefully getting ready to close on is located out in northeast Norman. And this is a depiction of kind of what the plant will look like, which just consists of a chemical building for the ammonia and the chlorine to be added, a tank so we can mix all the groundwater, bring it all to one centralized point, mix it together, and then we'll pump that out into the system. The second big item that we hope to accomplish with this rate increase is advanced water metering. It's at a price tag of about $15 million. What this will do for us is our meters are old and are not as accurate. We currently are using 1970s technology to go out and have a person actually pull the lid, read the meter, and then type it into a handheld device, bring that back and download it into our billing system. The newer technologies now have the capability of, you set up data collectors on towers, or in our case, we're going to be able to set them on our water towers because we already have the infrastructure. And then it'll be able to read through radio waves every meter that we'll put in, new meters that have a little antenna on them, and it will be able to read all these meters with the touch of a button several times a day. Should improve our accuracy of water bills. It's going to help us identify leak detection. For sure, improve our customer service. When someone says, I don't know why my water bill is so high, our customer service folks will be able to look at their account. And actually, if they need to, we'll be able to take an on-demand reading and then look at how the usage was over the night. Maybe they see at 2 o'clock in the morning there was some usage, and they could find out maybe the sprinklers came on, or they'll have a way to fine tune in of how the water is being used at the homes, really improve our customer service. And then also just reducing your environmental footprint instead of rolling. Right now, we have about 4 to 6 staff members that drive trucks around town, and they go out and their job is to go read 41,000 meters per month. And so they drive around and pull the lids off of 41,000 meters each month. After they finish one month, then they start up and do it again. Really, we've seen with recent COVID and coverage on staff, we're probably in need of hiring more folks to do a better job at this. Or this gives us a chance to go to automation, which let the newer technologies do this for us. We could repurpose these folks to do other good jobs around the city. And then water conservation, the advanced water metering also really, you can push more messaging. As people are more aware of their bills, they can have this on their smartphones, and giving them that ability to look at their bill more often. There's a lot of studies that have shown that does increase your water conservation efforts. And then just a more efficient way of operating our system. And this is just a depiction of, kind of in the bottom left, the house. Your water meter will actually, it'll be very similar. That we'll put in a different electronic meter that has a little antenna that will be a dome on top of your water meter lid. And then, like I said, there's on the water towers, there'll be a data collector that will send out a signal, and there'll be a battery on your water meter. And so that signal will wake up your water meter, it'll get a reading, and then it goes back to sleep. These batteries are warranted for 15 years through 20 years, but guaranteed up to 100% replacement, 15 to 20, then you get a partial replacement as you reach year 20. And then we're fortunate in Norman that our fiber optics are already laid to our fire stations. And we happen to have some fire stations next to a few of our water towers. So we're going to use this to our advantage as the data collectors bring in that information. Then we'll just wire that down into the fiber optics, which will come right into downtown. Really kind of convenient. So it's going to help us get this system installed. And then as you see, customer service will really be able to handle talking with the customers on the other end of the phone better. And then it shows a person here where you'll be able to type in on a computer or a handheld device and see your bill and be more familiar with how your water usage is and compare it to other customers in town. And this just shows a depiction of the timeline of the technologies of meter reading. And as you can see, about the third dot from the left, that's currently where we're at, the 1970s electronic handhelds. Again, we just go out, we pull a meter, pull the lid off, read it, type it into a handheld, and go to the next one, and then bring that back and download. And we're going to move to this radio frequency technology that's all automated. And then as far as the water line replacements, Norman has 640 miles of water line. Of those, 300 miles are made of ductile iron or cast iron pipe. In our clay soils, we see a lot of corrosion to our metal pipes from the clay soils. And so it's preferably, we like PVC is the better pipe to use in Norman. In red, we show the 300 miles of line. And so we have to begin replacing these pipes. And so we can eventually get a handle on having so many line breaks, disruptions to businesses, to residents, delivering that water. We make it good at the water plant, but then you got to deliver it to everyone's home without disruption. And then just for a reference, the average cost of a mile of pipe is about $750,000 per mile. So you can do the math times 300 miles. We have a tall order here to replace all the lines in Norman. And then this is just some pictures we took from last summer, actually. We had a rough summer on the line going from Robinson up to Tecumseh along the railroad tracks, 16-inch cast iron pipe. We had over 20 line breaks this last summer. As we have these line breaks, you can see it causes a big disruption, damages sidewalks, roads. The guys get in there, which their goal is to get that line put back into service so people can have good water flowing again as soon as possible. And so they go in and they put on these clamps. And that's the best we can do because usually the hole is just a round hole in the bottom of the pipe. So they'll go in and put on a clamp and then cover it all back up and restore all the damage that was done to the top. But we don't replace any pipe. And so I always make the statement that this last summer we tallied it up. We spent over $30,000 putting on over 20 clamps and making all the repairs to the damage it did. And we didn't replace any pipe. So for $30,000, you could replace probably about 175 feet of pipe if you would proactively be out replacing pipe before it breaks. So that's our goal, is to start spending more on pipe replacement and try to get ahead of some of these pipe breaks and disturbances we're having. And this is kind of that map again of, we had done a lot of the ones along Robinson. This is showing those ones that we plan to go after next. I know down south, there's a subdivision, South Lakes, $1 million. We've been in there a lot. Keeps the lines break, damaged driveways, sidewalks. The citizens are kind of frustrated because, like, why don't you come fix it? And so we're finally going to make it down there and get that replaced. That project's underway right now, being designed. And then you can see the line, the 4.0 million. That's the Tecumseh water line. That's a 24-inch water line, a large metal line that delivers water from east to west. Kind of goes at the new hospital over there. That's one on our radar that we really know we need to get that replaced as soon as possible. And then the 2.8, the flood water line, that's the one I just showed you all those clamps. That was under design as it kept failing last summer. But we got a contractor is out there replacing that as we speak. That project's supposed to cost about $2.8 million. And then I know there was one down by McKinley School to the other 1.0 million there shown. And we had to delay it because actually some of these others have got our attention. So we have it designed and ready, and we're going to get to it when we can, but we put some of these others in front of it for now. So we don't have enough money when we do this rate increase. We don't have enough money to finance this in cash, so we plan to take loans from SRF program, which is the State Revolving Fund. And we just estimated that groundwater disinfection is about $17 million to do the project. Being at a 3% over 15 years financing, that loan payment will be about $1.4 million a year. And then the AMI, or the advanced water metering, $15 million price tag. If we finance that over 10 years at 3%, the loan payment will be about $1.8 million. So right there, to cover those loan payments, we need about $3.2 million, okay, increase of what we have now. And then additionally, we're asking for $1 million per year, just as an O&M, to continue to go after more water line replacements. So that 3.2 plus the 1 million, now you're up to 4.2. And then we're asking for a one-time $500,000 per year. We just kind of based it on a 3.5% increase over the operating costs. Again, just trying to get that number up so we have more budget to repair and take care of our system, our water system. So the total annual cost that this rate increase would bring is estimated at $4.7 million per year, and that would fund these projects. So as we design the residential and commercial rates, so we hired Reftelis as our professional consultant to look at our water rates. And their goal was to make sure and present to us very equitable and fair rates. And they met with us, staff and council, a few times in December. And they showed us 3 alternates. And after looking at all the alternates, we chose to proceed with alternate 1. And that alternate did increase the residential rates 25% across the board, but commercial was a little less than that. And so looking at residential rates, as you look at each category, the base fee, which is the amount that we charge to go out and read the meter, come back, prepare the bill, mail the bill, process it, that's the $7.50. That will be increased to $9.30. And then each block, depending on how much water you use, will be increased. So looking at block 1, $3.35 will increase to $4.20. And then for block 2, $4.10 increases to $5.15. Block 3 will increase from $5.20 to $6.50. And Block 4 would be $6.80 to $8.50. And how these blocks work, I will explain that. 73% of the bills we send out will be in the 5,000, that Block 1. So that's what 73% of the bills will see. But say you were to use 10,000 gallons. Well, your first 5,000 gallons will be charged at that Block 1 rate. And then your second 5,000 gallons to equal 10,000 would be charged as the Block 2 rate. So just a little clarity on that. And then we prepared a table showing this, that 73% of the bills are at the 5,000 gallons per month or less. And if you average these bills from 0 to 5,000 of the 73%, the average increase is $3.93. But you can also look at this bill and see at 5,000 gallons, which is 73%, at the 5,000 gallon mark, if you were to use that much water, you would see an increase of $6.05 on your bill per month. Or 89% of the bills are 10,000 gallons or less. So I go down to the 10,000 gallon number and go across, and monthly you would see an increase of $11.30. And then we chart each of those categories that we're raising, and we compare them to other cities. And so as you can see, the general statement you'll see across the residential are we are going to stay below the average of all the other cities that we compare ourselves to. So as you can see there, Norman current rates were 36% below the average, and we're proposing to move that to 19% below the average. And then for the price per 1,000 gallons, as you can see, currently we are 31% below the average of that group, and we're proposing to move it to where we're 7% below the average. And then as you see this on the 5,000 gallon bill, which I stated is 73% of the bills are this 5,000 gallons or less, you can see currently that bill is 30% below the average of all the groups compared, and we're proposing to move that to 12% below the average of all the groups. And then for commercial rates, Reftelis looked at those, and actually as we got to looking at what revenues those generate, they are already generating a pretty good amount for our water fund. And on the last bill, the average winter consumption was added, and that was an added measure to hopefully aid in reducing the summertime usage that some commercial businesses do use for irrigation. And so looking at the commercial bills, their base fee is currently $6, and we're proposing to raise it to $7.80. And then their AWC or less, that's the average winter consumption, it's currently at $3.80. We're proposing to raise it to $4.35. And then for that water that they use in the summer, maybe that could be for irrigation, it's currently at the $4.20, and we're proposing to raise it to $4.80. And the charts will show you how these affect their bills. So looking at this table, you can see that 69% of the bills are at 10,000 gallons or less for commercial. So you go down to the 10,000 gallon mark, and what you'll see there is the person using 10,000 gallons, a commercial business, will see an increase of about $7.30 per month. If you were to average the 10,000 and less, the average increase is at $4.55 per month. And now how that compares on the charts, the base rate currently, the commercial is 36% below the average, and we're proposing to move them up to 27% below the average. And then as far as the unit cost per 1,000 gallons for commercial, currently they are at 24% below the average, and we're proposing to move them 13% below the average. And then if you look at a small commercial that might use 5,000 gallons a month, they're going to see their bills, currently they're 8% below the average, and this proposal would take them where they're 3% above the average. And then for a larger commercial that's using 10,000 gallons per month, you would see currently they're at 4% below the average, And with this proposal, we would move them 7% above the average. And we like to finish on this graph, which shows for residential, we compare to the other cities of all of the trash, water, and sewer combined on the bill. For 10,000 gallons or less, this accounts for 89% of the bills we send out. So most folks are going to be in this category. And if you compare to the other cities, currently Norman is the cheapest water, sewer, trash bill compared to these other cities. And with this proposal, if we get the rate increase, it's going to move us up where we're in second to cheapest. And we'll be slightly ahead of Ponca City by 14 cents per month. So not much of an increase. And this just helps us compare to other cities to make sure we're not getting out ahead of ourselves. And then it shows Norman's fortunate that we have very affordable water, sewer, and trash bills compared to the other cities.